Hi everybody, this is Dino and Chris from Prehistoric Facts. This is an answering questions episode, even though I got one question, but even though that's okay. So let's actually get right to it, shall we? Brendan from Moores, New York. Do you agree with my article that Metriacanthosaurids, the grandfather, Allosaurids, the father, and Neoventrids, the sister of Carcharodontosaurids? Even though I did research this a little, pretty much like a while ago, basically, pretty much like say a week ago, and basically I looked at the cladiogram of basically the Carnosauria family tree. So basically, I looked at it much more closely, and basically I actually got basically the same result as what Brandon actually did. And basically, Brandon, I completely agree. And basically, Metriacanthosaurids, I don't really know that much about. I think they're actually one of those types of theropod. They're that kind of theropod family where basically I need to actually look more into. But even though I think that's a pretty good statement. Even though that group of dinosaurs is actually almost a mystery to me. But even though they do have well-known dinosaurs in that type of family. But of course, allosaurids are basically the main ancestor of Carcharodontosaurids. I know a while before I did say that megalosaurids were probably the ancestors to the Carcharodontosaurids. But even though I looked at it more closely, megalosaurids are actually the ancestors more towards Spinosaurs, basically. So pretty much I actually got that a little bit completely opposite now. So pretty much now I actually looked at it a little bit more closely, and so basically, yes. Allosaurids are actually the basically what you call the father of the Carcharodontosaurids, but even though they're actually kind of pretty much the basic ancestor to Carcharodontosaurids. And of course, Neoventrids are the sister family from Carcharodontosaurids. So basically, yes, because see, if you look at where the Neoventrids and the Carcharodontosaurids are kind of placed. They're basically kind of actually placed around the same time, but also some of them are actually a little bit further back from the Carcharodontosaurids. But even though that's basically is that the Neoventrids are basically kind of like they're like sister species to the actual Carcharodontosaurids, like Concavinator in the Acrocanthosaurus, all those types of dinosaurs. So pretty much, because see, Acrocanthosaurus is considered to be a basal Carcharodontosaurid, so it's a Concavinator, because those are types of dinosaurs that are going to be considered sister species to the actual Carcharodontosaurids. Acrocanthosaurus actually looks a lot like a Carcharodontosaurid if you actually look at its skeletal structure, but even though it's actually well muscled, more muscled than probably you would actually say from a actual Carcharodontosaurid like actual Carcharodontosaurus, because basically I think Acrocanthosaurus is probably stronger than the Carcharodontosaurids that actually kind of came after. So pretty much I think that's how it actually kind of went down. But basically, that's how it actually kind of came to be. But even though Neoventrids are basically medium-sized to large theropods, whereas Carcharodontosaurids are basically large theropods, and so they're actually considered to be the large family group. Allosaurids are basically medium to large, and Metriacanthosaurids are mostly medium-sized. They're mostly medium-sized theropods. Because if you look at where they kind of are placed in terms of the family tree, they're kind of further away from the allosaurids. But even though some of them actually did live alongside allosaurids, but basically that was when allosaurids were actually kind of basically becoming the more common type of theropods around the time of the Jurassic, and so that actually kind of comes into play there. And so that's pretty much the question, and pretty much hopefully I can get a little bit more in the further down the weeks. Alright, but anyway, that's it for now. Next week will actually be a special episode, so if you got a dinosaur or any other kind of prehistoric animal you want me to talk about, feel free to email the species of dinosaur or any other kind of vertebrate prehistoric animal that you want me to talk about. feel free to email it to me at dinocris71@gmail.com, or as you can post it on Facebook, on the Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. I have a list of dinosaur names, prehistoric mammal names, etc. Basically on the page. If you actually click on those links, you actually might find all sorts of dinosaur names and prehistoric mammal names and all sorts of other kinds of prehistoric animal names that you actually can think of that I haven't talked about yet. And basically actually give the information to that. And basically you can give me one or two, because I can actually do two at in one episode. I've done that before. I've done three at a couple of times. But even though if there's one that I actually am gonna put a lot of information out, then basically I'll actually either do two or otherwise just the one, just because basically it's gonna be a lot of information that I'll actually throw out. And so just to let everybody know about that. But also you can still send me questions about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life by emailing me at dinocris71@gmail.com, or always go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comments section on any Facebook post. But remember, keep your questions short and to the point, and I can't use the messenger because I can't read the questions all properly that way. And also you can follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL. That's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. Also, take care of the people around you, and also for you younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have good education. With good education, get a good job in the future. Alright, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.